نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Come to point number 2 from the 10 nawaqid of al-Islam, those things that nullify a person's Islam. And the second thing that will nullify your Islam is for an individual to take intermediaries along with Allah, to make someone or something between you and Allah. When Allah told us in the Quran that He is closer to the human being than his jugular vein. There's no one who comes between Allah and His slave. The man that killed 100 people, when he said to the scholar what he did, he told him, he said, "Can I make tawbah?" He said, "What will come between you and Allah? Nothing to come between you and Allah." Shaitan, he mentioned to Allah, "Bima aghwaytani," because you led me astray, I'm going to come to them. La'atiyannahum, I'm going to come to them, and I'm going to come from in front of them, behind them, to the right of them, to the left of them. The scholars of Islam say he didn't say he's going to come from above them, because there's nothing between him and Allah Azza wa Jal. Nothing. So for someone to take an intermediary along with Allah Azza wa Jal is shirkum billah. And it's idiocy as well. It doesn't even make any sense. The one who does that is jahil. He's ignorant. And from what the Shaykh mentioned concerning this is the statement of Allah Ta'ala, "Lillahi ad-deenul khalis, walladhina yad'una min dunihi awliya, ما نعبدهم إلا ليقربونا إلى الله زلفى." The true religion to Allah is the pure religion. Lillahi ad-deenul khalis. The whole religion and purity and sincerity belongs to Allah. And all of those people who call on other than Allah, they call on the awliya. It can be a nabi, it could be a rasul, it could be a jinn, it could be a king, it could be a wali, it can be someone who is salih from the salihin, it could be the sun, the moon, the star, anyone who calls on other than Allah. The kuffar of Quraysh, when they used to do that, they used to say, "We only call on these things to get us close to Allah. We believe in Allah," and they did believe in Allah. وَلَئِن سَأَلْتُهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. If you ask Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, who created the heavens and the earth? Verily they're going to say Allah. They believed in Allah. They never disbelieved in Allah, ever. They didn't fight Rasulullah for that. We disbelieve in Allah. They fought him because he told them they can't worship other gods and idols and deities and entities along with Allah. They used to say, "We only worship these things to get close to Allah. We don't really believe that they have all the power." And it doesn't make any sense. Like the Christians, when they try to explain God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, God the Son, He got killed. So when He got killed, was God still there? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Allah mentioned in the Quran many ayat. وَيَعْبَدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ ما لا يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ويقولون هؤلاء شفاعنا عند الله. They worship other than Allah. They worship those things. It can't harm them and it can't benefit them. But yet the kuffar of Quraysh, they say these things that we worship, the idols, all of these things, these trees, the graves, these things that we worship, they are our intercessors along with Allah. They're going to make intercession on our behalf and get between us and Allah. And because of them, Allah is going to help us. Allah is going to forgive us. Allah is going to give it to us. قل ادعوا الذين زعمتم من دون الله لا يملكون مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض. Tell them, Ya Muhammad, call on anybody you want to call on from those who you believe can help you. Call them, call all of them, other than Allah. For verily, all of them collectively, they do not control or own one atom's weight of anything. They can't make an ant move, go, pick it up, kill it. They can't do any of that. Anything in the heavens or the earth. So there are a number of ayat that Allah made inkar and made tawbih against Kuffar Quraysh and all of those people who make intercessions and intermediaries between them and Allah Ta'ala. So many ayat. Now there are two types of intermediaries in Al-Islam. Two types. Wasata. There are two types. One is legislated and is permissible, and the other one is haram. We're not talking about wasila. We're talking about wasita. Wasila is something else, where you do things to get Allah to do things for you. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وابتغوا إليه الوسيلة. Al-wasila is something else. That's intercession. We're talking about a wasita, where you get something is going to be an intermediary between you and Allah. There are two types. One is haram, غير مشروع, and one is halal, wajib even. The one that's permissible and wajib is the one that comes in when giving dawah ilallah. When giving dawah ilallah, you're going to use Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an intermediary. You're going to use the ulama. You're going to use religious righteous people, the community. You're going to use the malaika, insha'Allah, as intermediaries. Allah mentioned in the Quran, Wallahu yastafi min al-malaikati wa rusulan wa min al-nas. Allah will divinely choose angels, and he divinely chooses messengers, and he divinely chooses certain people. He makes them mustafin, Mustafa, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what's the meaning of that? What's the meaning of that? The people of a tasawwuf, their sheikhs, and they themselves say we don't have to read, we don't have to learn, we don't have to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We take directly from Allah. We say that's kufrun billah, kufrun bi ijma'. What are you talking about? You have to have a wasita, bainaka wa baina rabbik. What are you talking about? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the first one from this ummah, and the malaika helped him. Jibril helped him. Mikael helped him. The angel of the mountains helped him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He came out and said, who will help me to spread the risala of my Lord? So his companions were the Ansar and the Muhajirun. They helped him. So we need the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We need the companions to understand this religion. And we take them as intermediaries to understand the dawah, to practice Islam, to build the community. So we have to mention this because of a refutation against, like I told you, the esoteric people and the people like a Sufism. So if those people say, leave us in this haddathana, leave us this chain of narration, haddathani, so-and-so called, haddathani. They said, leave me from this haddathani. Haddathani Rabbi mubasharatan. That's say, Allah talked to me directly. In a dream, he talked to me, I heard voice, whatever. So that is the wasita that is permissible, wajib, You have to do it. And then there's the second one, which is not permissible. It's haram. And that's the one that this particular second naqid is talking about. Taking intermediaries to make istighatha, to make isti'ana, to make a tawakkul, to make dua to them, to make requests from them that only Allah can help you with. So to ask someone, anyone, to give you Jannah, to give you the hellfire, to make you rich, to give you life, to give you death, to make your wife pregnant, to make you anything, that shirkum billah, when you ask them to do things that they are غير قادرين عليه. They don't have the ability to do that. They don't have the ability to do that. If they have the ability to do it and you ask them, no problem. The pilot in the airplane is about to crash. You say to that pilot, come on, pilot, man, save us, man. What are you doing? No problem. His expertise, inshallah, his experience, you're talking about use what you know to save this plane. There's no pilot. The pilot caught a heart attack. La samahallah. The pilot, he fell down. Something happened. And the passengers say to one another, who's from Ahl al-Bayt in the plane? Who's from Ahl al-Bayt? Ya Ahl al-Bayt, al-Madad, save the plane. None of that stuff. Shirkum billah wa kufrum billahi azza wa jal. As we mentioned, Ikhwani, this doesn't make any sense to do this. And these Europeans, white people do it. And this is common. We're going to come to this, inshallah. Practicing kuffar do it, and non-practicing kuffar do it. It's a mushkil with Bani Adam. He got away from his fitrah. His mother and his father, they made talweeth of his fitrah. So he got away from his fitrah. He does this thing that doesn't make any sense. Look at the problem with it. Number one, Allah asks a question, rhetorical question. وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنْ يَدْعُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ مَنْ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَهُمْ عَنْ دُعَائِهِمْ غَافِلُونَ. Who is more astray than the one who calls on other than Allah, and he calls someone who can't and won't answer his dua until Yawm al-Qiyamah? You know how they say, you can scream till you're blue in the face. You make dua until Yawm al-Qiyamah to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to get his ummah out of this situation that we're in. The people of Gaza, the people of Syria. You pray to him until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Rasulullah can't do anything about it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they can't even hear your dua. Who's going to make dua to someone he can't hear? One of us needs help. We need to borrow some money. We need a ride. We need something. We look in the community and say, who can help me with this thing? And then he figures so-and-so can help me. And instead of calling him on the telephone or going to his house, he decides to come to the masjid and stands in the parking lot, and he starts saying, Shu'aib Hanif, can you fix my car? Shu'aib Hanif. And he never left his house. Who does that? When we start coming to the masjid and we see someone in the park, we say, what are you doing? He says, I need this, I need that from Fulan. We say, but he's in Mecca, right? Well, what are you talking about in Mecca? We're going to say, he's majnoon. Something is khalal in his aql. The second thing, and many of the ayat of the Quran bring these points to put the kuffar of Quraysh down, to make them open up their eyes and say, what are you doing? The second issue, Allah mentioned, وَإِذَا حُشِرَ النَّاسُ كَانُوا لَهُمْ أَعْدَاءً وَكَانُوا بِعِبَادَتِهِمْ كَافِرِينَ. Yawm al-Qiyamah, when Allah raises up all of the people, and those who were called on and made dua to other than Allah, Isa ibn Maryam, Uzair, no matter who it is, Abdul Qadir Jailani, no matter who it is, when all of the people are raised up Yawm al-Qiyamah, those people who the people made dua to them to help them, they're going to be enemies to the people who made dua to them. They're going to be their enemies. They're not going to be their friends. They're going to free themselves from them. And these people always had husn al-dhan with Rasulullah, husn al-dhan with those who they perceived as being the awliya of Allah. Yawm al-Qiyamah, those awliya of Allah, prophets and messengers, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim ajma'in, gonna come, فَيَتَبَرَّؤُونَ مِنْهُمْ. They're gonna free themselves from them. All right? So we only ask people to do things for us that they have the ability to do, and it's permissible for them to do those things. وَلَا تَنْفَعُ الشَّفَاعَةُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا لِمَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ. The intercession will only benefit people if Allah gives people permission. That's it. All right, now this is really important. Again, this is al-Islam. Lillahi ad-deenul khalis. To Allah is the deen that is pure. And this is really important. This second nullifier is almost the same as the first nullifier. The first nullifier was to worship other than Allah in your ibadah. To worship other than Allah. To take someone other than Allah and you're worshiping Him. And the second one is taking an intermediary. You make him a go-between you and Allah. Both of them are worship. So why mention that and why mention this? This is really important. The Shaykh here is using a methodology that the Arabs have. It's in the Quran. It's in the Sunnah. It helps us to understand the nusus and the deen and what people are trying to say even. In that, in the first nullifier, it is general. It is general. Anybody who takes other than Allah, worships Allah and worships someone along with Allah. That's general. That's general. That could be anything. Ibadah. The one who does ibadah and he makes ishraq Allah and he includes someone in that. We told you that the ibadah was the comprehensive word, that consists of all of those things that Allah loves, from the actions and the statements that are hidden and that are apparent. So the first naqat is general. The second one is more specific. This is more specific. It's khas, it's more specific. So whenever you mention or you make the atf, this and that, Ahmed wa Muhammad, that's ma'tuf. Anytime you do that in Arabic language, it sheds light on the importance of the thing that is specific. Both of them are important, but you'll mention the specific thing, although you already mentioned the general thing, because you want to shed light, more light and emphasis on the specific thing. They call it again, atfu al-khas al-am. I'm only sharing this with you because we have people who are doing Arabic language, and these things are coming up in the book. So for you have to pay attention. I'm also sharing this because as students, this principle will come up over and over and over again. It's something that's in the book of Allah, in the Quran. Many ayat of the Quran. Allah says, Ya Bani Israel, اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأني فضلتكم على العالمين. O Bani Israel, remember my favors upon you. And remember that I have honored you over all of the worlds. So from Allah's favors is that He saved them from Fir'aun. From Allah's favors is that He sent them the Torah and the Injil. From Allah's favors is that He sent them many prophets and messengers at one time. Salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim. From Allah's favor, He gave them al-manna wa salwa. And on and on and on and on. And from Allah's favors is He chose them over everybody else. So the ayat mentioned, remember my favors, all of the ones that I mentioned. And remember that I raised you over all the other people. That's inside of this. Allah raising them is inside of these other favors. So this one is being mentioned for Bani Israel. Look at all these favors. And don't forget this one, that Allah chose you over all of the people. That is Atf al-Khas al-Am. What's the benefit of it? It shows the importance of that thing that is being made ma'tuf, that thing that is khas. There are a lot of ayat like that. A lot of ayat. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Man kana aduwan lillahi wa malaikatihi wa rusulihi wa Jibrila wa Mikala finna Allah aduwan lil kafirin. Anyone who is an enemy to Allah, to the angels, to his messengers, and he's an enemy to Jibril and Mikael, verily Allah is an enemy to them. Jibril and Mikael are from the Malaika that were already mentioned. So they're mentioned generally here, and then they're mentioned again specifically, again, to do what? To show the importance of that thing, to shed light on it. You guys got that? You guys got that point? It's not difficult, right? What's that ayat about the salat? Sheikh, the ayat about salat. Stand to Allah qanitin. حافظوا على الصلوات والصلاة الوسطى وقوموا لله قانتين. Take care of all of your prayers and take care of the middle prayer and stand up to Allah in obedience. Is the middle prayer from amongst all the prayers? Yes. So this ayat, along with other ahadith, if you want to find out what's the most important prayer in Islam, well, this is what was said about Fajr. That is what was said about Al-Isha. What was said about Dhuhr? I don't know. What was said about Maghrib? I don't know. What was said about Al-Asr? This was said about Al-Asr. Some of the ulama of the opinion Asr prayer is the greatest prayer and the reward. One reason because of this ayah. So I think you guys got that, inshallah. So the Shaykh mentioned a shirk, and that's general, all kind of shirk. And then he mentioned the specific shirk, where people take intercessors, intermediaries. Why he do that? Why did he do that? Because it is muntashir. You go to Tunis, you go to Morocco, you go to Algeria, you go to Sudan, you go to Somalia, you go to any country with the Muslims. And you're going to find the Muslims worshiping graves. You're going to find Muslims worshiping trees, worshiping rocks. You're going to find Muslims worshiping all kinds of stuff. Muzalim. Even in Al-Medina, there's a place where you go, it's called the Miqat. The people of Medina can't pass by the Miqat when you're going to Umrah. You have to make your talbiyah before you pass it. And the sunnah is to go there to pray 2 rakats. That place used to be called Bir Ali, the well of Ali. To this day, the Muslims come from Pakistan, Afghanistan, all over the world, and they still call it not Dhul Hulayfa, they call it the well of Ali. What happened there? Ali killed the jinn. So anyone who has sihr, ayn, you go there. It has nothing to do with peanuts, man. And this is not something that Muslims have a monopoly on. You go to any country in Europe, and you go to the city center, where there is a fountain. What do they do to the water fountain? What do? They throw coins in there. They throw coins in there. And by throwing coins in there, they believe what? You're going to give you a wish, good luck. That's shirkun. That right there is what this is talking about. So it's just not Muslims who do this. Bani Israel, when Musa, the Kalim of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he went to meet Allah on Mount Tur, Bani Israel took the calf. They started worshiping the calf. Why you gotta worship anything? Just worship Allah. So this thing is really rampant amongst the Muslims. Wherever you go. In some countries, it's more than others. But this is the meaning of the second nullifier from the 10 nullifiers that the Sheikh he brought. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So we only call on Allah, ask Allah, have a raja, that hope in Allah. Now, if a person promised, I'm going to take you to the villages, I'm going to take you so that you can do your physical therapy. I'm going to take you, inshallah. We're going to go to Tampa and I'll take you to the program. The person depends on Allah first and foremost, but he has a reliance on that person, but not the tawakkul reliance. His mind and his heart says, this person can only take me if Allah allows it. So we don't want to play semantics with the religion. We rely on Allah, but I'm counting on you. Counting on you means what? I'm not relying on you. I'm hoping you'll come through. But if he doesn't come through, although I may be shocked, I may be disappointed, at the end of the day, I know and knew he only could come through if Allah allows him to come through. So it's a big difference. That's not tawakkul. That's a person hoping. And that's why the scholars say, when you say things like, I ask Allah, and then I ask you. I ask Allah to help this, and then I ask you. Not I ask you and I ask Allah. I'm relying on you and I'm relying on Allah. No, I'm relying on Allah, but I hope you come through. I hope that you come through. All right, Ikhwani, this is pretty self-explanatory. As I told you, you brothers have any questions, inshallah, Azza wa Jal. We don't take any of those people as intercessors along with Allah. And unfortunately, it's just not ignorant Muslims who do this, but we have Muslims who sometimes they look at certain sheikhs as if the sheikh has all of the answers. The sheikh has all of the answers. All of the answers. And if someone doesn't agree with what the sheikh says, they'll say, you're a kafir, you're an innovator, you're an enemy of Islam. And if you say something like, I don't like the sheikh ain't my cup of tea, you're an innovator. The sheikh is not the symbol of what's right and what's wrong. He shouldn't say he doesn't like the sheikh. He should overlook the sheikh's shortcomings and so forth. But if he says, I don't like the sheikh, that to some people, because the sheikh is like that, he's like going beyond just respect and going beyond, just having a haiba for the person. So anyway, if you brothers have any questions, inshallah, you can put your questions forward. Fadli Akhi, Alex. The first one is the one that is permissible. It's legislated. Which one is that? How are we going to learn the religion, practice religion? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud told the people, follow and take what the first people took. Got to be on what they were upon. So in order to practice religion correctly, we have to use Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's a hadith about the Quran that says that the Quran, Hablullahi al-mamdudu min as-sama'i ila al-ard istamsiku bihi. The Quran is the rope of Allah that extends from the heavens to the earth. Take it and hold on to it. How are you going to be a Muslim? You don't have the Quran. You have to have the Quran and the teachers of the Quran and the one who brought the Quran. Jibril brought that Quran to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we see all of them as being doors for us to practice religion. That's permissible. When it comes to the risala, the tabligh of the deen, the other one is the one that's not permissible. When you take intermediaries and intermediaries to help you in things they don't have the ability to do. Worshipping graves, worshipping mausoleums, worshiping, I went to India and the Muslims was making tawaf around 3 graves. Two graves were the same size and one of them was small. This was a former prince or king a long time ago. And that was his queen. And next to them was a sheep that had been buried there. I say, you're kidding. They said, this is a sheep. This is what everybody has been saying. And everybody who's going around the grave believes that was a sheep. They believe it's a sheep. How do you do that? If they dug up the sheep and put him away, threw him away, buried him somewhere else, and the king and his queen were there, is it now permissible for them to make tawaf around there and make dua to them? No. But my point is, if you want to make money, this is just an example. I'm not telling anybody make this hustle or grind. If you want to make money in the Muslim world, especially people who live far away from the cities, all you have to do is just dig up a grave and you tell them, this is the grave of Sheikh so-and-so from the Awliya. And the people will come and they'll put money and they'll start giving money. Or if you sat there, they'll pay you and things like that. They'll slaughter at that grave and give you some of the meat. When the pinnacle of Islam is a tawheed and worshiping Allah alone. Any more questions, my brothers? Hey, تفضل يا أخي عبد الغني. Buried it. Yeah. And this is one of the wisdoms why when it comes to like graves, there are things we do and things we don't do at the grave. It's sacrilegious. The grave is a special place with special ahkam, things you can't even do in there. And he said, I used to prevent you from visiting the graves, but now I'm ordering you to visit them. They remind you of the hereafter. Why did he prevent them from visiting the graves? Because the graves to Jahiliyyah people who are ignorant, it's party time in the grave. It's party time in terms of the mercy of Allah and the shirk, making dua to dead people, screaming and wailing at the grave, taking the graves as forms of worship or as Masjid even. So none of that in the deen of Islam. And they put fences around graves. But the non-Muslims do too. They put fences around every grave. Is going to be a fence. Do you guys know why? Huh? No, man, they put fences around all of the graves because people are dying to get in. Some people look say, is that a hadith? Is that a hadith? All right, it's funny. During the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people were acting like this. Rasulullah, the Quran said, you're disbelievers. So can we do the same thing right now? The answer to that is Allahumma na'am, but with hikmah and with justice. The non-Muslims of Quraysh have been described in the Quran, like in these issues of what they used to do. But they were better than some Muslims right now in Aqidah. And they're described as being mushrikun and kuffar and jahiliyyah, but they're better than some Muslims now in this aspect. One of the verses of the Quran said, وَإِذَا رَكِبُوا فِي الْفُلْكِ دَعُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ فَلَمَّا نَجَّاهُمْ فَإِذَا هُمْ يُشْرِكُونَ. The kuffar of Quraysh, when they used to ride in the boat and the boat started having a storm, they would call on Allah with ikhlas. Oh, save us. Oh, save us. When Allah lands them gets them safely on land, they go back to shirk. So they would make dua to Allah with ikhlas and shiddah when they had problems. And then at good times of raha, they make shirk. The people today, they make shirk with Allah in shiddah as well as in raha. In good times and bad times. All you got to do is put in this phone, airplane crashing, Shiite. They have videos. That one video, about 2 minutes, has different people Sunni, and the plane is having problems. So you know when a plane is having problems, people start filming. You can see the Sunni people saying, "Oh Allah, help us! Oh Ya Allah, astur, cover us up!" Oh, men, women, it's about 4 different people. And then when it came to that Shiite man, he was saying, "Ya Abbas, Ya Hussein, Ya Ali, Al-Madad," because the plane was going down. Now, I come to the second part of the answer of the question. We're not going to say that they're kuffar. We're not going to say they're kuffar. They got to have knowledge. That happened with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, in that they were traveling to make jihad, and they saw a tree with these swords and the spears and the weapons of the non-Muslims who they're going to fight was hung up on the trees. And the non-Muslims said, they're going to give us power, so when we fight you, the sword is going to be stronger, and like that. The companions who were new to Islam said, Ya Rasulallah, make us a that al-anwat, like they have a that al-anwat. Make us one of those trees to even up the score. They're going to be stronger than us. Make a tree like that, we can put our weapons up. He says, Subhanallah, you people have said to me what Bani Israel said to Musa when he went and he made the calf. So the Nabi didn't make takfir of his companions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they didn't know. He taught them, he educated. And that's what we have to do with our people. They don't know, they're ignorant. So we have to teach them, we have to educate them and make dua for them that Allah protects them from those imams who are imma daloon. They astray and they send other people astray. All right, Wani, اتفضل يا أخي. Mustaqim. There's a verb. That verb is istafa, yastafi, istifa'u. It comes and it means, that verb means to divinely choose someone. To divinely, to choose, or to choose someone. It doesn't have to be divine, but if you chose someone, then he is your choice. He's your man. But Rasulullah's name, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is Mustafa, because Allah divinely chose him. And the companions are Mustafun, plural, because Allah divinely chose them to be the companions. Allah chose Al-Islam. Al-Islam is Mustafa. It is the deen with Allah. Inna deen. Indallahi al-Islam. It is the deen. So that's what it means. Mustafun. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.